First off, Jemaine, I just want to tell you, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and I'm really jazzed that you're here. I am a big fan, which may make you uncomfortable, but still, the facts are the facts.
I'm just as jazzed.
Okay, I'm sure. Well, I want to welcome you to Seattle, Jemaine. I'm sure you've been here in Seattle before, but
Many times.
But more likely with your music rather than with the film. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, if you've been here many times, have you formed any kind of impression of Seattle? Have you had a chance to get out and get a sense of the lay of the land and Puget Sound?
The people are as warm as the weather is wet.
I'll take that as a compliment, I think.
It's a huge compliment.
No, yeah, it is? Okay, that's good. So,
We were soaked with hospitality.
is that right? Yeah. Well, occasionally it is sunny, but what's the weather like?
I've heard that. I've
Yeah, you heard that?
that.
That's right. Only
Every time I've been here, I've heard stories of it.
So, listen, there's tons of stuff I want to talk to you about, but I'm most interested. You're best known, I think, for your Flight of the Conchords, I think, by far. But you've done more and more films of late, and I really think that's an interesting...
No one watches them.
No one watches them? Yeah, but we're going to change that
some people.
here and now with this interview. We've had 2 films of yours just in Seattle here. We just finished up a run of what I think is an absolutely brilliant vampire movie, What We Do in the Shadows. That just finished up a run, and now we get a chance, thanks to the Seattle International Film Festival, to see your latest movie, People, Places, and Things. And I've got to tell you, I just saw it. That's a real revelation for me. I'm a big fan already, but that really showed me a side of you I didn't even know existed.
You didn't know about my sensitive side, did you?
I did not. You've hit it so well over the years,
Yeah.
I think. So anyway, I think that's very good. But before we even get to talking about those movies, I think that I need to sort of come straight up and acknowledge what might be an embarrassing fact for you, or maybe a irritating fact, or a dispiriting fact, and that
So many
is...
options.
Yeah, that's right. That
Yeah,
is...
They're all bad, aren't they?
In my family, I can't imagine you'd be complimented by what I'm about to tell you.
Okay,
but
I'm
in my family, you're seen as my doppelganger.
Oh, okay. No, I see that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
How is
With
that?
with the gap in the teeth.
Yeah, there. Well, you picked it up quickly.
I actually can spot us a mile away, doppelganger. I know people who've been told they look like me.
Is that right?
Yeah, and like if I go to somewhere like the Google offices, it's just swarming with them.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We're everywhere there?
Yeah, I'll get 5 guys coming up to me and kind of, people say I look just like you.
And you're always complimented, aren't you?
I always act very graciously.
Well, I'm glad that I'm not the first one to break the news to you.
No,
I
I can spot us. It's gotten to the stage where I'll come up to people and say, you might want a photo with me because you look like me. And you may not know who I am, but if you show enough people, put it on your Facebook page, someone might.
Someone is going to say that. Well, the way it happened for us, one of my brothers, by the way, I hear you're the oldest of 3 brothers, is that right?
That's true.
And I'm the oldest of 5 brothers. I tell you, we're practically twins, except that you're a much, much younger version.
Well, we can't both be the oldest.
Exactly. Very true. But he sent out to my entire family and all of his friends the first time that you put a video up of the most beautiful girl in the room business, and he said, oh my God, if this isn't the spitting image of Tom,
right.
Me, and I had to agree. And then, just this week, my wife watched People, Places, and Things with me, and she says, oh my God, Tom, he says, now I have a good sense of what life would have been like for you if I had ever broken up with you. I thought, oh my God, so even that serious, sensitive side is coming through. So, okay, well, I'm glad we sort of got that out of the way.
Isaac Asimov was another one.
Isaac Asimov, yes. Well, it always makes me uncomfortable. I've had students go up to me in the past and say, oh my God, you look just like Stephen King. Well, Stephen King may be a popular writer.
I get Stephen King as well, so that makes sense.
He's not exactly the most handsome man in the world, though, but I get
well, I don't want to be rude to Stephen King, but I have to, it's not what he's known for.
That's
and so, the first time I was pretty, I wasn't that complimented by that, I must say. Although I did love his book on writing, it wasn't the photo on the back that I loved.
Right, yeah. He's a thinker.
And the first time I was told that, I was in my 20s.
Yes, I know. It'll only get worse as you get older.
That's right. All of a sudden, we become more pronounced.
That's funny. Okay, well, listen, I hope to touch on your entire career today, but I don't know if we'll have enough time. But let's start with People, Places, Things, and sort of work backwards. In this movie, you play a just divorced dad he's struggling with the demise of his marriage, and he's trying to help raise 2 twin daughters. It's a very sort of straightforward and serious movie. It's very earnest. It's so unlike how a lot of people may think of you. I'm just wondering why you took the role.
Well, I actually, when I first read it, I found it quite funny. There are funny parts.
Yes, definitely.
And then I watched Jim Strauss as the director. I watched his other movies. So the first one being a film called Grayson Is Gone, which is a very serious drama. and then I thought, maybe I've read this wrong. But then I talked to him, and he doesn't really define it as a comedy or a drama himself. So it didn't feel that different. It's about more real life things than I've been involved with before. Yeah. Well,
one of the things about it, I think it's a great role for you. I mean, even in a good movie like Eagle versus Shark, and especially in all of your Flight of the Conchords stuff and a lot of your skits and all of your small parts in big movies like Men in Black 3, you start with kind of a comic premise, and occasionally, like in Eagle versus Shark, you end up sort of revealing the humanity of the character. In this, the humanity of the character hits you full bore, and then comedy kind of creeps in.
It's the other way around. The focus.
Yeah. And I really think that's a really smart way to handle it. I was wondering, in terms of the script, you had nothing to do with. I know you've directed, you've written, you've acted, obviously. Did you have anything to do with the script and the development? I don't think there are any New Zealand connections to this movie, are there?
No, there aren't.
Okay.
There is a mention of my character being from New Zealand, which he added, obviously. It wasn't
yes, at one point. You're not hiding the fact.
No, you've got to explain it. Why does he talk funny? Why does he have that monotonous voice?
Right.
And that's why. And, it's a dramatic premise because it's about a breakup mainly.
Yeah.
But all of the actors in it from a comedy background.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie Allen, who plays my partner, is from improv. Regina Hall is best known for big comedy roles.
Yeah.
And we're just dealing about Kat. The character of Kat is played by Jessica Williams from The Daily Show. So it's all comedy people.
Yeah.
But, and we improvise a little as well as there being some humor in the script.
I was just wondering, there's a line in there, something about, and you can correct me, I'm having a bad life, but it'll be over soon. And that struck me as a very Flight of the Conchords kind of life.
Well, I think, right. Well, I think in the script it just says, I'm having a bad life. And then I think I added that bit. It'll be over soon. So, there is a mixture.
That's good. So I'm interested in your ambitions as an actor. Again, you can do a lot of things, but...
I don't have any ambitions as an actor.
You don't?
Not really.
If this was the end of your acting career today, you'd be satisfied?
Fine.
Well, you're an easy guy to work with, I guess.
Yeah, I'll do something. I'll go back to writing radio commercials.
Oh, that's right.
We've got crazy prices. How's that?
That's perfect. I couldn't even tell your accent at that point. We might hire you here in Cairo if you ever get a little dried up.
Good to know.
Well, we mentioned that you're kind of...
This is being recorded, right?
Yes, it is indeed, unfortunately for you. You're kind of a Renaissance guy in that you can do all sorts of things. I mean, not only are...
I can do them to a certain degree.
Well, but you're getting paid for it, so you're a professional.
To the degree where I just get paid for it.
Yeah, that's right. Then it qualifies. But you're a comedian, you're an actor, you're a musician. Do you consider yourself a musician?
Oh, somewhat.
Okay.
The same with acting. Yeah, kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So you don't have any grand ambitions to play Hamlet or King Lear?
I would rather be able to play the solo to Purple Haze.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so your ambitions may be more on the music line.
If I could, yeah.
If you could, okay.
I mean, I think I could. I feel like it might be an easier thing to do to play Hamlet than really pull off.
Wow.
Really? I don't know. I'm not
Aren't
sure.
you getting cocky?
Wow.
Fair enough. No, that's good. So listen, you're also writing and directing. I want to also ask you about the satisfactions and frustrations that you got out of your vampire movie, What We Do in the Shadows. what was that like? I mean, it's an absolutely brilliant movie. I got to tell you, when I first heard about the topic, I thought that is so tired a subject. I have no interest in it. I was so happy with how insightful a lot of that that stuff was.
Well, that's an idea we had about 10 years ago when we made a short film, and called "What We Do in the Shadows: Some Interviews with Some Vampires," and there wasn't a lot of vampire stuff. There have been a couple. Francis Ford Coppola's and Interview with a Vampire, obviously, but it wasn't like today's saturation.
Yes.
Every channel seems to have someone sprouting fangs.
Yeah. So it was
So we went through, over this 10-year period of people being excited, firstly finding like vampires, that's old fashioned, and then vampires, they're hot, and then vampires, that's over. We went through the whole cycle.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see, and the film came at a good time in a way, because it used to be that Taika and I were just horror film nerds who knew a lot about vampires, but by the time we made the film, everyone did. Everyone knows the rules of vampires.
That's right.
Everyone's versed in it.
Now, did you realize that by coming up here to the Seattle International Film Festival that you are now in Twilight territory, that Forks, which is where the Twilight series is based, is right up in the corner of our state? And I just think
I didn't. Our vampire movies that we reference in What We Do in the Shadows are mostly older. Things we grew up with from things we might have seen at film school at Nosferatu to things we grew up with seeing in the 70s and 80s. Yeah.
Well, I've got to tell you, the battle with the werewolves, it's not straight out of Twilight, because apparently you didn't even mean to reference Twilight too much.
No. That is something we added after Twilight.
I heard a Twilight reference in there. And all that werewolves business. The fact that they're coming together with the werewolves at the end of that movie.
And then also them appearing with their shirts off, and they're not the actors from Twilight body wise.
That's right. That's exactly.
And more like Stephen King types.
Right, comparisons. And how did you pull off the special effects for a comedy movie? Those special effects, the way you guys were flying around vacuuming, that was pretty clever stuff.
Well, we're lucky to live in Wellington, where it's kind of that's the main industry in Wellington now.
Oh, special effects. Oh, that's right.
That wet is there, so people on their lunch break from making The Hobbit would do some of our stuff.
By the way, since you mentioned that, has The Hobbit and all those Lord of the Rings movies, has it ruined New Zealand from a New Zealander's point of view? What is the New Zealanders' take on?
We get a new kind of tourism that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
There used to be the tourists who were all had huge calf muscles and polar fleece, but now they have dragons on their t-shirts.
And you guys are cashing in.
Yeah.
It hasn't ruined the landscape, though.
No.
Not too much.
It's not all. The hills aren't all filled with round doors. And,
Right.
No.
Hairy feet. No.
Well, what's good about it is that it's an interest in the natural topography of the land, so people want to see that. So it kind of preserves it in a way.
That's true. I noticed that in a lot of your projects, and I think just in the give and take we're having, you seem to like working with teams. I mean, you work with Tyke, as you mentioned, and all of that. I'm just wondering what it is about that. Do you get energy, working off somebody else, a conversation rather than a solo bit?
I think it's just I like hanging out with my friends, and I've managed to find a way to have a job doing that a lot of the time. Yeah.
How did you feel when Brett won the Oscar, by the way, for Best Song?
Interview's over.
What's that?
Interview's over.
I see.
No,
I was wondering if that was a touchy issue.
No.